All right, so it looks like we're already live. I'm not sure how that happened, but it looks like, let me actually make sure. Hold on one second. Hold on. All right, so I'm not sure that I thought that we were already going, but it is what it is. So today, all right, it's the check-in. We're gonna get right to it. Y'all know how we go. If it we go on the fly, we go on the fly. But I have a very important lesson to share with y'all today. Very important lesson. And y'all know how these check-ins are. They're mostly based on different things that occur in our life that we can extract these lessons from. And I'll give you a little bit of a story around the situation. But first, I want to just tell you exactly what the focus of today's check-in is, and it's valuing your time, not allowing people to play with your time, your value, and that comes in different ways. This may come off as a little bit focused as mainly being an entrepreneur. And shout out to hold up, shout out to Unc in the building. Shout out to Unc in the building. So Unc, this is simply the check-in. This is the check-in. So this is not the live show. This is just the check-in. And what it's based on is us starting off our day with about 10 minutes of focus of things that are going to allow us to hold us accountable to becoming the best versions of ourselves. So we already got Unc in the building. Shout out to Unc. Yo, I love that. I love that. So let's get right back to it. Not allowing people to play with your time, not allowing people to play with your value. And that's what a lot of being an entrepreneur is. Now, the difference between being an entrepreneur and having a job is you are the one that has to make sure that you're exchanging a particular amount of money, value for your time and your effort. You're the one that has to ensure that. So what happens is a lot of times you're starting your business off, or people don't see your business as being as big as, let's say, going into Target. You would never go into Target. You would never go into Walmart and say, hey, I'm just doing a little program. I'm just doing a program. So therefore, can I just have this, and I'll just have it for free. You would never say that. No, you have to pay for that toothpaste. Doesn't matter what program you're doing. That's the exchange. So what happens when it comes to a lot of entrepreneurs, at least in my experience, and I'm gonna tell you a story of what just happened, is there was a program that was being put on, and somebody who I don't know, but who I guess was introduced to me through a close friend of mine, they reached out acting like they call you, act like they know you, act like your friends, and say, hey, we're putting together this program, would love to have you join us. We have a bunch of college kids that are looking to go into becoming entrepreneurs, and we're having this workshop. We'd love for you to come. It's between the hours of 12 and 2, let's say, on a Monday. As if you don't have anything to do between the hours of 12 and 2 on a Monday. As if you're not an entrepreneur, and chances are you work a lot more than other people, and you obviously need to ensure that you're the one getting paid for certain things. So this person, I'm like, yeah, send me all the information. Send me all the information. And one of the main questions that you can ask to judge how serious a person is with their program, but also with you and how they value you, is what's your budget? So when you ask somebody what's their budget, and this question never even came up in this particular situation, because I told them, send me the information, then I'll look at it, right? Send me the information. The budget should be in the information. How much you're going to get paid, what's the time, all the things. What's the event focused on, how long you're going to have to talk, is there going to be somebody recording it, content wise, all these different things. So I looked at what they sent over, and the initial email is like, we'd like to formally request your presence or something like that. And I'm like, request my presence? If you're requesting my presence, then you need to be valuing my presence and compensating me for my presence. That's my initial mindset. Now, a lot of people will look at it and say, well, it's not a paid thing. This is for the kids. Well, you get paid for your job and you throwing the event, correct? So why would I not get paid as the person that's bringing a value, a unique value that you can't bring? That's why you're asking me to come. So I reached out to the person and I spoke to the person that I know, and I told them exactly what was going to happen. And I'm sure that they relayed that message to the person, even though I wanted to have that conversation. So this was maybe, let's say, on a Wednesday, and the event was for a Monday. Now, as y'all know or may not know, I'm back and forth from between Jersey and Florida. So as I'm sitting here, I'm realizing like, okay, they're just throwing something out there. She just probably was just introduced to me and it's probably just throwing a whole bunch of lines out there and just hoping that she catches something. Right. Matter of fact, she's just she's not even throwing lines out there because that would be more intentional throwing a line. She's just got the big, the big, what's it called when you go fishing? The big net. She's just throwing the net out there and whatever comes up, she's cool with it. Probably didn't do any research into my background or anything like that. Just wanted to say, oh, we could bring somebody in. I asked her to call me. She never called me. And this is when I spoke to my friend, and I'm sure that they relayed the message to that person. So the person never reached out to me, never emailed me. She told me that she was going to call me the next day, never called me the next day. And that's when I said, hey, can you give me a call? I need more information. I need to understand what is the exact value that I would be receiving in return for me delivering my value to kids. And you have to look at it like that. You have to look at it like that because nobody else will if you do not look at it like that. You have to look at it from the mindset of, okay, who in this room has accomplished the things that I've accomplished? Who in this room, based on my experience, we all have individual experiences. Based on my individual experience, who here would be able to deliver some of the values and lessons that I would be able to confidently deliver because I've experienced these things? Who here would be able to deliver from a simple standpoint as, okay, how do you transition from a 9 to 5 to becoming an entrepreneur? What are some of the things that you're going to experience? What are some things that you experience by trying to build out finances while growing a podcast? All of these different things that I'm sitting here telling myself, and you have to tell yourself this, because as an entrepreneur, if you're not, one, realistic, but two, confident in the things that you're doing and understanding the unique value that you have, then how can you sell yourself as a product? How can you sell yourself to any group if you're not aware of the unique things that you have? When you, going back to the Target example, if I buy this toothpaste compared to that toothpaste, it tells me exactly the difference, right? It could be the same brand, but oh, this one is fluoride free. Oh, this one is it has anti-cavity protection. Oh, this one has wintergreen, fresh breath. Whatever it is, it's very specific in what makes it unique to attract itself to a particular audience. So what I was going to do if I spoke to the person is say, hey, what's the budget? One. And then, of course, she would have said, oh, well, we don't really have a budget for this. This is our first time doing it. As if you don't invest in something your first time, as if you don't put up money the first time, because people are always going to look to take advantage of you. People always want to get something for free. People do not like paying for things that they do not see the value in. And when it comes to the value that an entrepreneur brings to the table, and speaking to some kids, they do not see the value. They do not care about those kids to the standpoint that they are willing to invest in certain people so they can give the kids some game that will send them off and give them the right mindset to become valued entrepreneurs themselves. They do not see that. So what would my response have been? And it's okay with doing something for free. It's okay with doing something for free. You don't always have to charge. There's certain things that you're going to do for, let me rephrase that. It's okay for doing something and not getting paid in money. It's not okay to do something for free. You need to make sure and ensure that you're receiving some type of value on your end. It's simple. Maybe you have somebody that's filming. Maybe you have somebody that's going to film and edit and break down the footage into reels. Maybe you're going to have them break down the entire conversation or show the entire conversation. So now you're getting, instead of you having to pay an editor, Instead of you having to pay a videographer, maybe that's something that they're able to provide. Maybe you're going to have certain people there that can become your clients. So now, instead of you paying to get into a room or you paying a marketing fee, which people typically do to put their product in front of a group of people that is their target market, maybe your target market's going to be there so you can pick up some clients. Maybe it's going to put you in a room where you're more likely to be around people that you'll be able to hire and bring on board your team. Maybe you'll be in a room where you're able to say, you know what, boom, these are college kids. Maybe some of them are looking for internships. And maybe these are the serious college kids that decided to spend their summer, instead of just out doing whatever, but looking to grow their value. Those are the type of people that you want to bring on board on your team. So maybe that would be the value. So there's different ways to ensure that you're receiving a value. Now, money is always going to have to be one that we focus on. And it's the one that a lot of us do not like or feel comfortable asking for. And usually the things that are outside of our comfort level that create a little discomfort, those are the things that are most important. All right. It's easy to ask, oh, well, is somebody going to be recording this? It's easy to ask that. But it's a little harder to say, hey, what's the budget, for my compensation? What were you planning on compensation wise? And see, what happened was she never reached out. I never got a call. So I planned accordingly. Once I didn't hear back from her on Thursday, I decided to come back down to Florida. I booked a ticket back down to Florida to proceed how my week would have gone if I did not go to that program. So what did I do? I ensured an exchange in value. I took my value seriously. So I asked her the right questions. And just by asking her the right questions, I was able to understand her intentions on her event, her intentions on what I would bring to the event, and her intentions on how an exchange in value for me bringing my time, effort, and energy to her particular event to teach her kids. I knew that she wasn't serious with it. I knew that she didn't value. I knew that she didn't know who I was. And once maybe she found out who I was because she talked to my little sis, then maybe she understood more. And instead of her even having the decency to reach out and say, hey, this is, we'd love to have you, but, we don't have any compensation right now. Perhaps we can work this out. Or do you have anything else in mind? Or maybe this isn't the right one, but we'll reach out to you on the next one. Nothing. Because that's how people play with you. So the best thing that I did was I won back my time. I didn't have to take a few hours to prepare to make sure that I'm delivering a message of value to those kids. I didn't have to take my time and drive over to the school. I didn't have to do all these things. I didn't have to stay in Jersey and justify different reasons why I would stay in Jersey instead of coming down to Florida and getting back to work. I did not have to justify those things. So I saved and took advantage of my time. And when you're an entrepreneur, your time may be, or just honestly, anybody, your time may be your most valuable asset. And you can't allow people to play with your time, and you can't allow people to play with your value. And if you do not take your value seriously, especially as an entrepreneur, but just overall, because what's the difference? Somebody ensures your paycheck, but the people that are going to be most successful, even in a 9-to-5, they're still going to look at themselves as an entrepreneur and always be focusing on the compensation that they get in return for delivering a particular value. They're going to be the best workers, and they're going to be compensated the best. So it's not just for entrepreneurs to look at it like this. Never allow people to play with your time, your effort, and your overall value. And you have to take it seriously because it's going to ensure that you make the most out of your time, that you get the most of your time, and that when it comes to compensation, moving forward, you will get used to asking what most entrepreneurs find is the hardest question to ask. And that's, I need your money. You're asking for my time. You have absolutely no problem asking for my time, inconveniencing me, taking time out of my workday. You have no problem doing that. But what a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people find trouble or hard to do is to ask for that value in exchange for some type of compensation in return. So don't allow people to play with your time. Don't allow people to play with your value. And we have to be very intentional when it comes to that. And the more intentional we are, the more that it'll go back to them and people will start taking us seriously. All right. It's not on them to know the value that we bring to the table, but it is on us to make sure that we protect it and that we inform them on the value that we bring to the table. So they may not purchase the product, but what it will purchase you is your time back, which is most important. So therefore, you can put that time into doing other things that hopefully will either directly or lead to you receiving compensation for an exchange in value. So that's what we got for the check-in. I shall see y'all soon on the next one. We'll probably tap in next week on Monday. And with that, y'all have an amazing day. Get to it and never allow people to play with your value. All right. Take your value seriously, because if you don't, nobody else will. I'll see y'all on the next one. Ew.